Please welcome the Fantastic Four.
Oh boy, here we go. Hey guys, today we're talking about Fantastic Four First Steps, directed by Matt Shakman and written by... Oh wow, that's a lot of writers. Written by Josh Friedman, Eric Pearson, Jeff Kaplan, and Ian Springer. The movie stars Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, Ebon Moss-Bachrach, Paul Walter Hauser, and Julia Garner. We open on Earth 828, where the world is celebrating the 4th anniversary of the formation of our titular team. With a 1960s sci-fi retro-futurist aesthetic a la the Jetsons with a utopic angle as well, the family is faced with a galactic-level threat. An unplanned pregnancy. I mean, that's not right. It's actually the arrival of Shalla-Bal, aka this world's Silver Surfer, who heralds none other than the purple world-eating entity known as Galactus. Before we go any further, I'm going to go ahead and drop a spoiler warning, so now is your chance to pause this video, go watch Fantastic Four First Steps, and then come back and let me tell you how to feel about it. Now, into hyperspace. I had some renewed good faith after Thunderbolts and was riding the superhero movie wave high after Superman, so I agreed to go see this with as much hopeful optimism as I could garner. Sadly, in what could have been a truly inspired and monumental moment for the MCU, we instead got a hollow, empty vessel of a movie that shows that these characters seem to just be impossible to get right on screen. Let me be clear though, largely these movies and their depictions of these characters are not for me. I appreciate that they exist and that nerds everywhere have cause to celebrate and cheer and clap, but as audiences seem to continue to salivate for the endgame applause breaks and Deadpool meta moments, I'm tired of the lack of personality and charisma in these movies. It feels phoned in here, and in a movie that is about a family, the large problem is that Reed, Sue, Johnny, and Ben rarely feel like family members. My friend Meredith said that they're more like co-workers. I'm taking her line because I can't think of a better way to convey what's wrong with the movie. I would not go so far to say that the acting is bad in this movie though. The culprit here is the script. The writing has shiny object syndrome, but instead of shiny objects, it's references. So many things were obviously like, hey, did you get that? Did you? I don't mind a reference here and there if it's done well and not so winking, and this will still work greatly for those with better comic literacy than I, and I have read a large amount of comic books, all things considered. I haven't read as much Fantastic Four, and another friend of mine, Kyle, mentioned how much they see Jack Kirby all over this thing, and that is this movie's best aspect, hands down. When the movie opens, it quite literally starts. In a quick and well-paced newsreel style sequence, we see how the Fantastic Four came to be and where they are now. The world is established well, and I couldn't help but laugh at the heroics of the Thing pulling a cargo ship through the ocean. This was endearing, fun storytelling, all feeling like panels ripped straight from the pages of a comic book. The movie in general feels very comic booky, which works greatly in its favor at feeling fresh. There's actually a nice color palette to the movie, even if the MCU color grading and editing greatly hinders its ability to pop. The plot generally is an excellent Fantastic Four story too. They actually go to space. Important to note because they started as astronauts who were radiated by cosmic rays, and it was integral they incorporated this element for me. The spaceship sequences are all so ugly to look at, but I appreciated that we actually got some time in space with the Fantastic family, and all while Sue Storm carries a baby at that. The introduction to Galactus wanted to be really cool, and I wanted to really like it because I felt that after the previous movies were cowards and turned him into a malevolent cloud, and that Shakman here had the balls to introduce him as his actual comic book iteration was exciting. Something was off with it though. He didn't quite feel scary and intimidating. Ralph Ineson was well cast in the voice role, but it must be the CGI, it just didn't work for me. The chase fight sequence with the Silver Surfer as they escape through a black hole is inspired, if incredibly unfun and boring to look at. I could hear my deceased father's voice talking to me in the car on the way home about how cool it was that they used the black hole to bend their space fire missiles and defeat the Surfer, and it was definitely a movie he would have liked for its aesthetic and sci-fi leanings. I mean, the movie opens with the Fantastivision reference to like the Panavision cameras, so the style choices are there, and all of these things are cool on paper, and I won't deny that they're cool in and around the movie, but visually it doesn't land. It felt flat. Vanessa Kirby is definitely putting in the best performance of the bunch, but even she didn't work fully for me. Of the family, Pedro Pascal as Reed didn't click. And that's a huge misstep because Reed is an essential character to connecting with this team. And I know Reed. He's a pivotal member of multiple Marvel event books. One of my favorite elements, in fact, of the Secret Wars run from Jonathan Hickman and Esad Ribic. I said this in my friend's group chat when they announced the casting for this movie, and I stand by it still after seeing the movie. Pedro Pascal was absolutely miscast as Reed Richards. Now many will ask, well, who should it be then? Why you hating on Pascal? I don't really know. The first person that popped into my head was Rick Moranis maybe 30 years ago, and even that's not perfect. But imagine with me here for a second if they leaned in even further into the cartoon aesthetic though. In an alternate reality, Rick Moranis could work. And Reed's perfect casting I still ponder as I write this script. It's missing a strong charm element, I'm sorry to say. Again though, this is largely due to the lacking elements of the script. The actors largely show up and meet the assignment. Also, there wasn't enough Mole Man. I need more Mole Man. Subterranea was so cool. My favorite element of the movie though is Ben Grimm. Notably, his fits throughout the movie are fire. His sweaters, his jeans, his trench coat, immaculate. This is how Ben Grimm looks in the comics, and he looked perfect, but the CGI sucked. Ebon Moss-Bachrach is such a moving, powerful actor. Richie is like the best character on The Bear. The CGI did him no favors, and yet I found the character compelling enough. I wonder how much of his story was left on the editing bay floor because he did not feel fleshed out as much. I know it's easy to say this because it's just going to keep happening, but I wish these movies felt more tactile. So much emotion and physicality is lost when there's so much green screen and CGI. Superman had a lot of it too, but it was more colorful and had personality. This felt a bit more zombie-ish. The movie ultimately didn't work for me, and I'm kind of surprised to see that people seem to be resonating with more than James Gunn's Superman. Talk about charisma and charm, that movie has it out the wazoo, but it's also got a much better script. Fantastic Four relies too much upon a foundation of knowledge that the audience may not have, nor do they want to understand, but also on a poorly formed team of actors that were not given strong material to build off of. Sure, the stakes are there. The baby is in peril. Franklin Richards will never be the same after being held by basically a frightening purple kaiju, but I felt nothing. How can a movie hope for us to care about it if we do not connect with its characters? That characterization element comes from the script, and that the movie chooses to go from point A to point B and C and onward is the problem. It's serviced by moments that happen, horrible looking CGI sequences, more moments, and stupidity. How are we supposed to believe that Galactus would be fooled by an empty baby carriage? That the world is going to buy into a plan to turn their power off during a set amount of time? I like that they went for a utopic setting where fascism and racism are seemingly solved and the world trusts its probably only superhero team. But in 2025, how is that something that we can resonate with? I don't feel that the movie does much to respect the audience's intelligence. And I get it that it's trying to be cartoony and that the movie is not afraid to have a winking quality, but when you have this very serious seeming tone and jokes are not landing in the audience, and I saw this in a packed house and there were lines that were clearly supposed to elicit laughs that fell flat. A few lingering thoughts I have. The mid-credits stinger is cool and all, but we already knew Doom was going to show up. If you know anything about the Fantastic Four, you knew that. So for new people, this will probably be cool, and for people who are still into the consequences of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. To me, it felt inconsequential, but it did get my brain percolating. When we see the Fantastic Four spaceship rocketing towards Earth in the end credits of Thunderbolts, and it's assumed that the Fantastic Four is on board, but what if it's Doom on board instead? As a love letter to Jack Kirby though, this movie feels essential. There's a final quote shown at the end of the credits, and it encapsulates what makes comic books so important to people culturally and personally. The movie does have a strong allegiance and respect for the source material, and for that, I applaud the filmmakers and the creative team here. But I do have to wonder if we are at the end of a soon-to-be-dead empire and that all we're left to chew on is an awful CGI baby MacGuffin. And where's Valeria Richards? The Fantastic Four First Steps will be an important movie to a lot of people. It will also be a good movie to a lot of people. It's low-stakes fun that feels like a narrative arc from a comic book and should be viewed like that. I still found it boring, empty, and a summation of the worst parts of the Marvel movie formula. But that's okay. I'm just glad people have a new comic book movie to love and latch onto and enjoy that can also be a foundational text for people who are new to comic books and want to start reading them, even if it means that a small part of me dies every time one of these movies turns out to be so lifeless. What did you think of Fantastic Four First Steps? Did it reignite your love for the MCU and get you excited for the next entry? Or were you hoping that you would just be aborted from your movie theater seat like me while you were watching it? Is this movie pro-life or pro-choice? Leave all the comments below, and before you go, don't forget to like and smash that subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching this video and continuing to support the channel. I really appreciate it. Until next time, here's another quote from the master himself, Jack Kirby. I think the greatest contribution I made to comics is the fact that I helped to build up readership. And if Fantastic Four First Steps does that for comics, then I'm all for it. Peace.
Are you the protectors of this world?
Yes, we are.